Hello guys, I'm in St. Petersburg and I'm gonna meet one person today, probably walk around with her and discuss the theory that the St. Petersburg was established on the ruins of previously located city. So stick around and take a look at this video. Thanks. Hello, people. It's Philipp Druzhinin from Moscow, and with me today, Julia from St. Petersburg. We recently met in St. Petersburg during some excursion, which was around a week ago, right?
Yeah, roughly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we met with Julia during my tour. I was, going for a week or something. Went to Petergov. Went to, Vasilievsky Island, Petropavlovskaya Fortress, and some other places. Isakievsky Sobor, which is Isakievsky Cathedral. So was pretty good one. And your tour that you presented to me was one of the best I've been because you represent official. Yeah, you represent official guides of St. Petersburg, right? You are certified, right?
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yes, I am a certified translator and guide, certified by the Tourist Committee of the Government of St. Petersburg.
Yeah, and your tour is called Petersburg, right? Something like
Yeah,
that.
yes, something like that. For I call it also before the Petersburg before Peter, so to
Yeah,
say.
before Peter, because Peter's supposed to be the
Yeah,
founder. Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Sorry for
obviously.
bad connection problems, guys. Maybe some interruption could be possible. So, anyways, we met near Kazansky Cathedral, right?
Kazan
Which is
Cathedral.
yeah, Kazan Cathedral, and you started with some background information, which is important to understand when you dig into this topic, because I do it for like maybe around 10 years already. So, I mean, it was interesting to hear your information. Would you like to begin with that first?
Yes, I was first I am linguist, philologist, so you name it. They call it officially translator. Basically, my university diploma tells so. So first of all, I was graduated from the St. Petersburg University. It was the English was my main language, and the second was German. So after that, I've decided after some time, I was working first as actually translator in construction business. So it was quite so to say, very strict documentation and obviously no space for some creativity. So it was quite boring at that time. I have worked maybe 3 or 4 years or something like that. And then I decided, I got pregnant with my son. I decided, no, I spent a year in London also for like practicing a little bit English and stuff like that. And after some time, a lot of my colleagues, so to say, so lots of students also, they have chosen this path to become, at that time, obviously, St. Petersburg was quite frequently visited by the guests from around the world. So English speaking, German speaking, obviously, you name it, French, and all from around the whole Europe. This profession was quite popular and quite in demand. So I've decided, to take this path, and at that time I had lots of time. I was pregnant. I was I was doing my second education. So to become a guide, you have to like get extra some education, because this is kind of a new profession. So you have to either graduate from like art department, or like the Academy of Culture, stuff like that, or you have to get like the second. It's not really like second higher education. It's like a little bit addition to your main to your main profession. So I made that. I have worked quite a lot of time with obviously English-speaking guests, visitors of St. Petersburg. And yeah, at that time I was working with some like basic stuff about our city. So it's like suburbs also. Peterhof, you have just named it, I think. So Peterhof, Pushkin, also the Catherine Palace, and St. Isaac Cathedral, and the Hermitage also. And I met one woman. She is a little bit. She does this alternative, how we call it, alternative history. So this is something
we don't call it. They call it. Yeah, we don't call it.
They call it. Yes, they call it. So obviously something that goes not now I think of some German
Beyond the official.
Yes, they call it together. It goes a little bit together with official history, but it like digs out a little bit more information and never stops on the point that is officially recognized. Yes, so to say.
Yeah.
So there is always
basically
something.
questions the official narrative, right?
Yeah. So, for example, the founding of St. Petersburg, this is one of the main questions that this kind of alternative researchers deal with in this field. So, why the city is so big, is so beautiful, the old town, the old town is. The old town is usually in any European city is usually it is quite small, and here it's huge. So it's huge, and how officially the history tells us that the city was obviously founded in 1703.
Yeah.
So, but there were there arose obviously many questions. How come?
The main question is what was actually happening back at 1703.
Yes.
What was happening at that
how,
time?
How it was possible that the city grew so fast, so rapidly, with such beautiful architecture, buildings, and cathedral, obviously palaces,
Canals.
I don't know. Yes, emperor's residency, and there's a lot on square meter. There is like every first, not even every second, every first, like in the center of St. Petersburg, every first building is a piece of art. is a um, without any doubt is something like really grandiose and magnificent. So really beautiful work of art.
Architecture.
I
Yeah.
can call it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So architecture is
But what was
and
really
building
happening
art.
in yeah, what was really happening in 1703? Was there a war during that time officially?
It was the war started. It was called basically the Great Northern War, and the war has started a little bit. There was some like there was some already reasons to start the war. The war actually uh, has started a little bit earlier, and the war was basically on the whole Baltic Sea. So what was happening actually was that two, not even two, more than two empires, they were basically trying to get a piece of the Baltic Sea for themselves. So it was like Sweden, Denmark, was Poland at some time, also was I think Turkey even. So it was like a coalition between several basically states, and they were like fighting. They were trying to get, because the Baltic Sea at that time, all the 17th century, also the Baltic Sea was like a Platzdam for trade. So if you get like a good part of the Baltic Sea area, so you can go like through the whole Baltic. You can go like in Sweden, then Hansa states, it's called, like northern German cities like Bremen, Hamburg, also London. Even it was the offices of Hansa. They were also in London and Brugge, even in Netherlands. So they were well basically trading with Central Europe, and the main sea way was obviously through the Baltic Sea. So yeah, it was war. It was Great Northern War. I think it lasted about 21 year or something. So it was
So
like
basic
it.
so
Mhm,
basically they
yeah,
were fighting basically were fighting for the control of trading, logistics, and
yeah,
the influence
exactly.
in this trading, payments, right? Because the
Hmm.
traders always pay when they pass the ports, right?
Taxes, yes.
Taxes and
So
so on.
they have paid taxes. Obviously, if they go through other territory, not their own. And if they like own this territory, so they don't have to pay nothing. So they just own. They are really like the owners, and they obviously call the shots. Yes, so they do whatever they want. They charge money. They charge taxes for other people who come to trade in this particular place. So yes, this was basically trade. Was also the trading, the logistic ways. They were always the main reason why people fight it with each other.
Yeah, so basically, Peter the First officially was at Netherlands practicing his crafting abilities and some other things. So he was studying, so to say. He was also practicing sailing. He was meeting Masonic uh, societies. He was also, I think, he was meeting even Newton, Isaac Newton.
Isaac
Yeah,
Newton, yes.
yeah. So who was who was a founder, or I mean, the highest ranked Mason at that time. So, and he was also using his own flag. He was using his own trading flag at that time, which right now is our state flag. So to say, he was the guy who returned to Moscow and then became a czar, and then he was what he was claiming the war with this alliance of Hansaic countries just to grab a
Yeah.
piece of these logistics. And during that war, in the middle of nowhere, what officials say, on the swamps, he built a magnificent city so rapidly and beautifully
Yeah.
that no one can explain, right?
And Philipp, I interrupt you a little bit. And the main thing is that the war actually ended only in 1721. And he started to build a fortification first, which is Saint Peter and Paul, obviously, fortress. So he started to kind of to set down, to set down in this area. He started to build a fortification point, a fortification unit. When the war was not really ended, it was not yet the end of the war. So he came to the area that belonged to Swedish crown at that time. I remind you a little bit. This area, the whole, is called Ingermanland. So the whole area went to the Swedish crown in 1617. So it was the Stolbovo Treaty at that time was signed between the Swedish crown and the Russian and the Moscow at that time, obviously Moscow Tsardom. So it was not yet empire, but it was the Moscow who was, obviously capital at that time. So the Russian Empire didn't exist yet. So they basically this. If I start with like a long history, so always this territory, this and Karelia also. Always this territory was a stumbling block between Sweden and Russia, because again this area was really was very important for the trade and obvious for developing the city might. So when this area went to Sweden, so obviously
Basically is an entry point to the Russian territory, and therefore to the east and to the south of even
correct
to the Black Sea, because they call this way
yeah
from Varyags to Greece, like
to the Grecian
from Vikings to the Greece, so yeah, you're right.
yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right, because it was you see the border area, and obviously the one who has this area has right as I already said, to be to be the main person to trade and call shots and tell other people what to do and pay money, pay taxes for being able obviously to lead some like trading activities in this area. So that's why the Swedes, when they started to possess again this area, they started obviously to settle down. And what for Sweden was very important at that time is it's the role of castles and fortification points. So the Sweden at the time was, as they say, the time of great mightness. So it was really, really very mighty, very powerful, and they basically till for the beginning to the beginning of the 17th century, they have possessed the whole Baltic. So like Estland, Estonia, like Livland, with like Letland. I don't know how it's in English.
Lithuania, yeah, Latvia, Lithuania, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Baltic basically countries.
Yeah, may we start
also
with
the whole.
Yeah, may we start with showing the maps that you have on that period, so we can visualize the picture of the area. You can just show.
So, for example, this was a little bit. I show you, let's say, the map of Karelia with Ingermanland.
Yeah.
So
that's you can also zoom in, yeah, here.
So, for example, you see this part was Kexholm. This is where I come from. So this is basically Karelia, and this is called North. Okay, this is North Kexholm, and this is south. So this is where I came from. This is Kexholm. This is all Karelia. And we see also, so we go a little bit south, and we see, can you see the Noteborgs?
Yeah, of course.
This is the fortress. Now we call it Oreshek.
Nuts. Yeah.
So around here was basically founded the St. Petersburg city. So it was called at that time Noteborg's Lan. Lan is like the region in English. So it's part of like governed by one obviously local authorities. So all this area was, you see here Nguyen.
Yeah.
Nguyen. So Nguyen was the city that Swedes have founded on the shores of the river Neva. That's why it's called Nguyen. So it means, in Swedish, it means new.
Yeah.
So we see here already, this map is from 1680. So we see the area is already inhabited, is fully inhabited, the whole this area. So here we have like Peterhof. So this way is more to obviously Estland, Livland, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think where the church is, this big church.
Yeah, yes, this is the big church. So Noteborg was here, and basically all this river is actually Neva. You see the cursor. So you see the area was fully inhabited.
And this the channel in the bottom, what's that? Because that's also water. Yeah.
This one.
That's the top one, and the bottom one. What is that? Yeah. Let's go.
The river Neva here, it has like several branches. So that's why it's called the mouth. Here, when it falls to the Baltic Sea, and here it falls to the Ladoga Lake.
Oh, okay. So
understand?
That's
So here we see this Nguyen city. The Nguyen was basically founded around 1617. So before the Swiss, they obviously started with some fortification. Also, it was called Nguyen Schanz or Nguyen Skans. Skans is like a fortification, also in German, in Swedish. And they basically started with this fortress, obviously to settle down in this area. And then the city was obviously growing. So the first settlers came in 1629.
16?
29.
Yeah. So that's 16th, 20th, 17th century. That's a little bit less than 100 years prior to St. Petersburg founding, right?
Yes, yes. So it was basically 73 to be correct. 73
Okay.
years.
Okay.
So as we can see, this I didn't say I work with the Swedish archives from the National Archive of Sweden. So all these maps that I have and all my research, obviously, it's all based on the official data that come from official organ, like the National Archive. So.
Yeah, so you granted access amid your qualification certificates, right? That's why they gave you access to these archives, and some of these pictures were photographed there, right? Okay.
Yes, I have many. I show you later a little bit more of these maps. Obviously, shall we go back to?
Yeah. So basically, your point is that Swedes had populated the area a little bit less than 100 years prior to that, or
Absolutely.
and at the tour you also mentioned the city of Venetia. Where did that version came from prior to our main discussion? Let's discuss that a little bit. So somebody's saying that the nation itself, all these northern nations were called Venets, right? Venets, right? And so there you
Vents or Venets.
Vans, Venets. Yeah. So some say that there also was a city called Venetia at that point. Could Swedes actually occupy the city that was, or maybe the ruins of that city, and use that also in construction? Could that be a point also?
Yeah, we find a lot of stories, and also from official sources, like say the Danish writer, Saxon Grammatic, he's called, and he has summed up a little bit some chronics of Gesta Danorum is called, the deeds of the dance, it's called, so in English. And he was actually describing, anyone can just Google, and of course it's in Latin, it's written in Latin, but you can still take, if you have this, like some special translator, maybe you can still take and read it. And he was saying all these vents or venets, they were based in this region in Eastern Europe, a part of also Germany, like the Vorpommern, for example, yes, or the Low Saxony also. So the Low Saxony, all the north of Germany was populated with these Wends. And they were very terrifying, like obviously almost like Vikings. And the Saxon Grammatic, he has the story that the Vikings were actually attacked by these people. So they were like pirates of the Caribbean, So they were like living in this Baltic, in this area, and they were really, really terrifying. So they could rob they could rope the ships, yes, with like Hanseatic ships, and they could attack them and steal all the possessions, steal all the goods, steal everything that they were like taking with them for, obviously, for trade, for like for the market, for the like European market. So they were very, very aggressive and dangerous, really. So, and they were all living in this part of the Baltic. So, and the city Venezia, according to him, was somewhere in between, like the Finnish, the Gulf of Finland. So that was like the extreme point where the old Baltic was finished. So we can only guess it was somewhere around, obviously, the Gulf of Finland or the end of the Baltic, as he described it. So,
and there's correlation with that because right now, probably from 19th century, St. Petersburg have been called as the Northern Palmyra or Northern Venetia sometimes, right?
Venice.
Northern Venice.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, they call it the Northern.
Well,
or the Venice of the North.
Venice of the North. Well, let's go back to our topic. So we've discussed the pre-case, like the case that was prior. So what we have right now, we have uncertain information about Venice, Venezia city that was discussed by a Danish source, right? Which is official, and we have some official maps from Sweden, archives that you claim to be official also because you've been there yourself and you filmed that there, which also claim that there was a city called Nien. Is it correct? So now we have...
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is...
Now we had to go and see the footage that not the footage, that the official evidence that is presented right now by officials and which is correlating with your theory. And you made this tour to the place called Letny Site or Summer Garden, which we went to. And you showed me the just tell me the story about this guy who owned the place that you found out on in archives, and the family and his family.
So at that time, as I have already said, the ruler, the emperor of the Swedish Empire was Gustav Adolf II, and with his basically in his times, Sweden started to create this system of new cities that it has obviously possessed at that time. Yes, in 1629, the group of people they were sent basically to this area, to this Ingermanland, and it was at that time already, we have to mention, it was the area where lived the Finnish tribes. So the people, the indigenous population of this area, they were all Finnish tribes. They were called Vod, Jora, Karelian, obviously, in the north. And in this area of St. Petersburg, they already lived there. And as we can, conclude from that, they were always like suffering from this, this stuff like wars between between Sweden and Russia, who wanted their own fatherland, yes, their own territory.
Yeah, Russia
So
officially claims that at the area was the city of Old Lataga, which is like also the the foundation
mhm,
of Russian civilization, right? So that's quite
mhm.
a, a triangle between Poland, uh, Poland, Germany influence, Sweden, Finland influence, and
Oh,
Russia.
yeah, lots of it, lots of it, lots of it.
Yeah,
Ukraine also, Belarus. So this was the area basically populated with all the possible nationalities, the Great Novgorod, all the nationalities. As also it was the Hanseatic city. So it was the German court, German also church there. So it was basically the city, quite European city, I must say. So it was populated. It was like a melting pot, like New York, I don't know, Berlin today, London.
yeah,
So the Great Novgorod was that type of the melting pot. Yeah, back to our Nguyen city. So in 1629, the group of people, it was 30 families basically, who came with ships from northern Germany. I say for that time, the Sweden has also in possession the territory of northern Germany, like Low Saxony and Vorpommern, they call it. I don't know in English. Vorpommern means the closer Pommern.
yeah. Okay.
So and the 30 families, they were basically colonies. They came to this area of St. Petersburg to start a new life, and the government told them at that time, because all the feudals, all the aristocracy and nobility, they were all quite poor after the war. It was the 30 Years' War in Europe at that time. It was a very, very bloody war. It lasted 30 years. And after that war, the main European, the rules for European connection were proclaimed at that time. So now Europe lives. It was called the Westphal Treaty. So after that, the new have to like explore the new territory. So a little bit from Germany and a little bit from Sweden. There were altogether 30 families. They came and settled in this area. And we have also the map, official maps that says, and the main person behind it, who started the whole, the developing of infrastructure in St. Petersburg, in Nguyen. His name was Bernhard von Steinhausen. He was sort of a little bit Jewish, a little bit a little bit Holland, a little bit German, so kind of mixture,
Typical
So
Hansaic aristocracy.
yeah, yes. He and then he came there. He settled there. We have the map that tells us the whole area around, like the Summer Garden, the Petrogradskaya city, the Peter and Paul fortress called von Steinhausen Land.
Mhm.
So I have this map.
Uh,
I show
can you
you.
show it to us right now? So to
Yeah. Yes,
yeah,
you
it even
see
says
Nguyen. This is obviously Neva River. And here says Sten
Spassky.
von Steinhausen Land. You see?
Yeah, and
So
here
at
it
that
says
time,
Spassky.
Spassky, yes, it was also the also three communities. We have like German church, then the Orthodox Church and the Swedish Church also in this area. So, and this map is dated 1643.
Yeah, I can see. I can read it too. Yeah.
So basically, this man, he came here with his like some colleagues, let's call it like fellows. It was 30 families, and they all have settled down. You see here already there are some houses. You see. So here, for example, was the land of Captain Boleus. He was actually the Burgermeister of Kaporie. It's also one fortress nearby. This land was Class Ericsson, you see? It's called Class Ericsson land. So basically, the major part of the whole land was belonged to this guy Bernhard von Steinhausen. The spelling here a little bit old. So, for example, this letter comes from Latin and means like you.
Yeah, I see it. I see that.
So he was called at the time in like Netherlandish manner Steen von Steenhuisen, like this. So not open syllable, like we say now Stein in German. Obviously in Swedish is Steen. In Hollandish,
so basically, it was like what Americans had, like when they were assigned some certified land by their monarch or their,
yeah,
king.
he was kind of, he was kind of I forgot his official position was named General Rick Schulz. It was the first when I was reading this the whole article about him, and they and the what is amazing, this name was never founded in any Swedish documents before and after also. So he was the first General Rick Schulz, basically to carry this post.
Yeah, I see.
So, and now the Swedish Academy vocabulary, there is like Swedish Academy who is at charge of some new word borrowing of the charge, how they research how the language develops, and they translated it basically like Bürgermeister, like Vogt. Also, we call it Vogt.
Mayor. Yeah, mayor.
Yes, exactly. So he was like, because you can see his possessions were like really huge. If we compare like also with Claes Ericsson, with Captain Boleus, also with Mr. Whatever that. So he owned the whole area around now Summer Garden, Hermitage here, also somewhere here is like the Petrogradsky island. So he owned at that time the major part of the whole St. Petersburg. So of the whole center, we say, better to say, of the whole center of St. Petersburg, basically.
Yeah. So we went with you to the Summer Garden, and basically some of his property is still around there, and officials excavated a part of the park, and they found the ancient brick pavement from the ancient facilities that were occupied by the Peter, is what you say, right?
Yeah. So what? So at that time, he in this place. So then, when he had a daughter at the time, her name was Maria Elizabeth. So his daughter, and they had also their neighbor, whose name was Joachim von Konau. And the Joachim von Konau possessed the land where now stands Mikhailovsky Castle. So this orange sort of building,
Yeah,
you remember?
Mikhailovsky Castle. Yeah, that is located right
Castle, yes.
in front of
right
the summer
opposite.
garden. Yeah, in front of
Correct.
summer garden. Yeah.
So he came here already. His father, Albrecht, his name, the father of Joachim, Albrecht, came also together with Bernhard von Steinhausen here in this area. So a little bit later, his daughter, Maria Elizabeth, marries he's the son of Albrecht Joachim von Konau. So yes, they were like a man and wife, and then and they had this manor. They have obviously a little, according to the documents, in that the place where we have summer garden today, they had also a little, it's called a little Hollandish garden. So the garden in like Holland style.
So was it a matter of fashion? You're supposed to have a park in the Holland style back then, right?
Yeah, style, but because, and what is most interesting thing here, that the Peter, when he came and used the territory as his summer residence, he even left, can you imagine, he even left the same planting system, the same alleys, the same trees. He preserved everything, just everything. So he basically he didn't do nothing. Like this, he just rebuilt a little bit the old manor house, and this old manor house is rebuilt in summer palace of Peter the Great. It's called.
Yeah,
and when you go inside,
you have an old lithography of the summer camp, right, in your folder.
Yeah, we in.
Can you show it?
I don't have it.
So, right now you don't have
it. I think I have another very good map also, but it's already the beginning of 17th centuries, and on that lithography we see actually this part of the embankment that we saw together with you. So the embankment obviously was a little bit closer. I can do a little bit later the pictures in my phone now. So yes, what Peter basically did, he just took this area, burned down the city, the like trading place. Yes, so the city was a little bit down the river. He burned down, and he left this part here as for his personal use. Can you see?
Yeah, so he basically he destroyed the main area of a trading, city market area and so on, and he left this park for himself. Called it the summer garden. He took
cool
the
down
facility
there in the
one of the facilities. He called himself a summer palace, right? And during that time, he started to construct his winter palace, right? Something like that.
Exactly. So, and the winter palace, it is about 1 mile away, about 1.5 kilometers or so.
Yeah,
so
like
the winter garden appeared officially 1703. Well, 1705, sorry. It was the 1703 appeared.
Summer garden appeared in 1703, right?
1705 and winter 1703 the fortress. So just in front, just opposite basically the summer garden. So it was quite you see, useful, quite convenient. So he built, he started the fortress 1703, and right opposite the fortress, he left the area for themselves, not to be kind of away from,
Yeah,
you know.
very distant from the fortress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And then the Winter Palace appeared officially also 1708.
So it's
And
basically a matter of 5 years before construction of the fortress.
yeah,
Then you go with the
yeah.
summer palace, and then you go with the winter
With a
palace.
garden, with a lot of, with like a lot of already places for, you know, the servants. It was called Lusthus. Also a little bit nearby. Another house, Lusthus, appeared also like in this, and it was really great with arcade, you know, like in classic sort of style, big columns, and it was appeared like so quickly. And at the same time, you have war, you have you know, you have people fight in the battlefield, basically. You
Less,
lead the war,
it's
and
less than 100
you
miles
built
away,
already
by the
all
way.
that.
It's less than 100 miles away, by the way. It's like, oh, you can even see the war. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Basically, Soviet Union had a war with Finland in 1939 because of that distance. Was very close to St. Petersburg, and Stalin knew that it was very dangerous. And look at Peter back in 1703. He establishes a fortress, a summer palace, a winter palace during the war on the territory of his enemy.
Very
And
very brave man.
yeah, very,
Very
as you've been discussing the Venets, very aggressive. Yeah, I would say very aggressive, masculine person who goes to your territory, constructs whatever in a blink of eye.
like, yes, it's so rapidly, like the mushroom after rain, they say, you know.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
like appears so rapidly. Uh, and this
And
and
all
this
let me
whole
just another
uh-huh,
question.
uh-huh.
You've been said it was burned down, and all these burning down procedures were mentioned, and they were supposedly done by Apraxin, the deputy of Peter. he
Correct,
was he
correct,
was burning
correct.
down. So if you're burning
He
down
was
something, that's supposed to be
at the
standing
charge
something,
of
right?
all this. Apraxin was exactly at the charge of this burning extravaganza. So
Okay, okay.
they burned basically the city, which was, as I already said, a little bit down the river. So you can see from the map also. So the city was a little bit like up the river, actually, up the river. So down the river was already the land of Sten von Steinhausen.
So this
So
point
and
alone,
the,
it questions the official narrative in the founding question, right? So if he used the ancient facilities or not, if he could establish this park, all these huge planning, these canals that surround the park, so he can ship and dock there with his ships. And we saw his facility. It was able to connect to the ship, so it had some type of a port facility near his summer camp,
come like
and all this. So all
piers.
this, and including Apraxin burning down something supposed to be built before, right? So something is already questioning the case that the city was actually founded, not rebuilt on this place.
And also they say that they actually use these stones, the construction material from the old Nguyen town. It's also in the documents. So they didn't like burn it like till the like ashes. So they
Yeah,
actually left something. They kind of took something, construction material from like the fortress, the Nguyen scans. the
Yeah.
fortress that was all on this cape, you know.
And while we walked
So
from Summer Garden to the Winter Palace, you showed me a place where some parts of ancient columns or some architecture parts, some facade parts, I don't know, some columns and a head of a
uh,
sheep.
like
Yeah,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah, a big male sheep. Yeah, so uh, that also proves that some parts are still underground and they couldn't be found. Even officials bring them and show them to people, right?
Yes, you cannot. So there were archaeological research, archaeological like excavation back in 2009. So in 2009, they have found the old embankment, and they have decided to you cannot like hide everything, right? They have found also a lot of old foundations of the fountains, and I have this monography of this archaeological research. I have also the document in PDF, and it tells us, you know, what they also found there. What amazed me most of all, it was the kopeka of the time of even the schrecklich in Deutsch.
Terrible.
Schrecklich. Even the terrible, yes,
Yeah.
the terrible, and it is official. And even the terrible was lived in 16th century, like in the middle of 16th century. So can you imagine how this kopeka got to that summer garden, basically? So it's like really amazing. This shows this proves again how old long ago this place was inhabited.
Yeah.
Oh. Mhm. And the old embankment, and what is really what comes together. Also, the map of Nguyen. I have another map, and I was reading. It's 1658, I think. So this map has the Tegelbruck on the map, and Tegelbruck in Swedish means the brick factory.
Now, can you show this map? Yeah, it was very nice
Yeah.
map. Do you have it
Mm-hmm.
right now?
I think I have it.
That would be nice. Yeah. The guys talking about the bricks, I've made bunch of videos on bricks, how bricks are produced, how technological is this process. And I've been saying for years that bricks supposed to be produced in the factories. And here's the proof Julia found on one of the maps of this old town, the pre-Petersburg town, and it shows the construction is a brick factory. This alone is questioning the
Uh, uh,
history
uh,
of brick
uh,
production.
I think I don't have it here. It was, but it's printed out. I have showed you. Yes,
Yeah, you
it's
showed me
print.
on your phone, I think.
Угу. Костя, можешь дать мне на минутку? I don't have it in my laptop, but it was print. I think I have printed out directly from the archive,
Okay,
of.
that's no problem. You just give me, you send it to me after
I
we're
will
done.
send you. You can
Yeah.
like attach it to yes.
There was a little picture you just showed. Can you please come back to that screen with the pictures? No, 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 no. The folder itself, and it says pre-Peters. Uh, can you go to the bottom, please? All the way to the
Mm-hmm.
bottom, and this and it says like yeah, до Petrovsky летний сад. Can you please
Yes, yes.
turn it on so Yeah, that's the summer garden that we've been talking about, actually. And the map,
Ah, here the Tegelbruck. Yeah, here, Philip.
yeah,
Yeah, I found it.
yeah.
But
My
it's black and
I have
white.
an eye. Yeah, yeah. I have an eye.
You see here Tegelbruck.
Yeah.
Tegelbruck here, and also another one was a little bit down. So this map is like a screen
Yeah.
from. So here we have, and it's also this map from the middle of 17th century. So all these islands they are called now the same names, like like the Krestovsky Island is like
Mm-hmm.
Risti in Finnish. Risti is Christ,
Mm-hmm.
and Kivi in Finnish is stone.
Mm-hmm.
So I show you now another one. I show you which one I wanted to show you. Yeah. Oh, sorry. This is. I have found. You know what? A summer garden. A summer garden is written right there. What I have
Mm-hmm.
found, I was really surprised. And this map is 1644. You see Nyenskans here.
Yeah.
And here says Konungsgarden.
Yeah.
Konungsgarden.
And
So
the
there,
guy's last name was Conan, right?
Konungs, it's like the ruler, the main
Yeah,
man.
I know.
Like,
That guy,
mhm.
they got married with the guy who owned the place with his daughter. His last name was Konov, right?
No. His name was von Kono. Yeah, von Kono. So basically, goes. Yeah, good point. I've never thought of that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think I told you during the tour about that, yo. I mean, this Kon thing
You.
is the
Aha.
it's not that's why he was actually marrying the daughter of the owner's place, owning nothing there because he had a background,
Yeah.
He had a background.
Yeah. Philip, also what I found here, Tegel Lada, you see here,
Yep.
Tegel Lada means Tegel, like warehouse, like
Yeah.
for storage
Stocks.
of the brick.
Yeah.
And here also Bruggery. This is the for making beer.
Yeah. Brewery. Yeah. Yeah.
Brewery. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can you believe on the like marshland where only hares lived at that time when Peter came was already fucking breweries, the brick factory,
Yeah. Brick stocks, brewery, so on.
brick warehouse,
Yeah.
Yes, and also some like marked, obviously Sabola, all like little names of the like little villages
Yeah, I
around.
see, I see, I see.
And here's the mouth of the Neva, obviously, where it goes in several like parts, several branches. And also another point, you know what I've noticed?
Yeah.
Now I have it in my head now. The name the Peter is translated from the Greek like stone, Petrus.
Yeah. Yeah. Rock.
And the name of Stein von Steinhausen translated also like stone. Can you see the little bit correlation between them?
Yeah,
Very interesting.
Petersburg, and the last name of the guy who owned the land was rock or
Also,
masonry built house. Is equals because Steinhaus means stone house. Yeah, masonry.
stone house,
Yeah.
exactly. The
So that's
very
correction.
interesting.
That's correction and correlation to the St. Petersburg origin itself.
Mhm. So that gives like a little hint for us a little bit. maybe all those names they're kind of made up for to quote some information about this ancient city, you know.
And you've been saying about adaptation of the population by the Peter. Maybe that was to keep them calmer, just not to change the name of a city or something. That he just renaming it, but kind of
Yeah.
translating it into what it was before, like branding it with the new name, but understandable to the population that was living on the ground.
So the kind of to decode this information that was in this stone city.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
the city was already there. Maybe the city has existed before.
Yeah, and those
So
people who were living since the Germans came, as you've been saying, in 1630s, these guys left and have been kept by Peter. He never, pressed them out. And you've been saying that some people even brought their relatives, right? Or
yeah,
something like that.
the feminists with them, exactly. They were told, bring as many people, as many servants, as many peasants as you can, because it's a new land, nobody's there, and you can take so much land as your peasants actually are able to cultivate. So they were all colonists. They were like developing the new city. And another assignment that this Steinhausen had was to open the new post department. They needed the post department, so to connect the city with the other, with Stockholm, like
Mhm.
with the king in Stockholm, to have like the post communication
Mhm.
with them. This was his second assignment. So
And Peter
basically,
Peter was also speaking German, right? His main language, his routine language was German,
yeah.
right?
At that time, this the marriages they followed. Then his sister married the German guy. Then his daughter, the first from Duke from Schleswig-Holstein, and obviously the whole 30 years, 300 years of Romanov dynasty, they were all Germans, basically. The last emperor, the last Tsar, the Nicholas II, he had, can you imagine, one of 164 only of Russian blood. So he was totally the last German
Yeah.
Tsar ever in Russia. So.
Yeah, that is not a surprise
And
actually.
and the and the story about that Peter have supposedly invited the foreigners there. It's a little bit. It goes. It explains us that some people they already living there. So some German, some German Swedish, as I call them, they were already in that place. So he basically he opened the city. He got this land. He got this area, and they were already living there. They were like starting to bring their families, the rest of the families from say Germany, from Sweden, and this new generation of architects, of doctors, of chefs of Peter the Great, who like cooked for him, who like served him. They were already relatives of those first people who lived in Nien, basically.
And
So
Germans had some even streets of German, only German neighborhoods, right? So nobody else lived there, and some. So they had a main part of the city was, priorly occupied
as I
by
said,
Germans.
Yes, the Millionaire Street, the one where we went. You remember after
Yeah, yeah.
that we went to the Zimняя Kanavka, the winter channel. This street, in the first half of the 18th century, was called Большая немецкая улица.
Big German.
So
big
the
German
the
street.
big German street. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so
And
exactly
what
the
is
place.
Yeah. What is the story with this winter palace construction? Because we've jumped from, summer garden, and we're talking about that Peter was constructing winter palace. Did they find an old Peter winter palace there? And you've been showing it to me.
Yes, absolutely. 20 years ago, I just charged my laptop a little bit. 20 years ago, they have found basically the underground palace of Peter the Great, which was rebuilt at the end of 18th century by the architect Quarengi to the Hermitage Theatre. Sorry, I just obviously rebuilt already in classical style. You have seen, yes, the Hermitage Theatre. You can go there now, see some play, some opera or whatever. And they started to found some walls, underneath. So it came down to that they have actually excavated the whole area under the theater, and they have found basically this first palace of Peter the Great, which was in depth of 5 to 7 meters even. Now you can go see this. They have turned it obviously into the museum. They have style which has the personal belongings of Peter the Great, the kitchen, his study room with maps and all this thing that he was using. And this palace, and they show the first, and according to official history, the palace was rebuilt 5 times. And now the winter palace that we have is actually the 5th one. So again, this story of rebuilding. Yes, like Saint Isaac Cathedral, for example, already has the story of 4
reconstructions, rebuilds. Yeah. And on some maps, you say that you have a line of houses already built on the place that we see him constructing
you can
this
see
first winter palace. Yeah. Do you have this map right now?
Also populated.
Do you have this map right now in your folder?
This is exactly the end of 17th century. So this part of the city, a little bit like up the river, and this was Nguyen. So obviously the winter palace was a little bit down. So, but he will also have the numeration of the houses even. You see here. So. And the winter palace, I have another card, another map. I have here. Oh, this is the beginning. So anyway, this is 1703. Yes, this is a great map. 1703, we have what? We have the first. We have the St. Peter and Paul fortress here. And look how many houses already there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Here we have Winter Palace. So the explication, they say Winter Palace Admiralty. Admiralty already there. Obviously, the Vaska, Vasilisky Island already has so many, you see, houses.
Yeah,
It has two churches. Here the Strelka,
yeah,
obviously here the Petrogradskaya, and here
and no,
our and
and no
here
bridges at
the
all. Yeah, right. No
no
big
bridges
bridges.
at
So
all. So
yeah,
here we have Winter Palace, and obviously here we have here the channel, and here around here we have the summer garden. Here
yeah,
here what here I think yes
yeah. That's the
here
yeah.
also.
That's summer, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the channel. Yeah,
And this is the channel that the Liberzhia Kanavka. Uh-huh.
yeah.
And
That's
look
exactly
how
where
many
the top
look
of
how many
the top of this
houses.
place to the top is that summer palace that we saw with you, and that embankment, that
It's
ancient
here. Yes,
embankment.
it's
Yeah,
here, I
yeah.
think.
It's
This
over
is the
here.
Mars field, and this
Yeah,
is the summer
yeah,
palace. So, and here the obviously winter palace. Here we have also church. It says Katholische Kirche and
mm,
Katholische Kirche and Lutherische Kirche. So Lutheran and Catholic churches.
yeah,
And here you have the Admiralty. What I think most of all I like this map of the Vaiska of Vasilievsky Island.
yeah.
According to can you believe, Philip? According to Wikipedia, the Wikipedia tells us that the Vasilievsky Island was only starting some houses in 1714.
Some houses.
Yes, only the planning, like the lines, they're all like planned in lines, you see.
Yeah,
So this is like the main idea behind the planning of Vasilievsky Island, that it's like planned with lines. So the streets they called really today they called lines. Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like the
I've
third
been there. I've
line.
been
The
there. Yeah, I was
uh-huh.
parking there. That's the only place that you can park. Actually, it's some of there.
In the center.
Yeah.
Huh. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
going back to the talk that we've been saying. So Hermitage is a winter palace that been reconstructed 5 times, and the officials found during the reconstruction of one of the buildings of this complex, huge complex of Hermitage Museum, and right now Hermitage Theater, they found 3 to 5 meters underneath the foundation. They found the remnants of the winter
five
palace,
7 meters. So
five to
it is
seven
actually
meters
now at
below. Yeah,
5 to 7 meters. Can you believe 5 to 7 meters? So why I'm saying that? Because if you like go down, so enter basically the main staircase. So you have theater on the normal level, and then you go like down 3 4 meters, and then again down about 1 meter maybe, and then they show us another room that goes even more down.
hmm.
So it
That's
was
probably the
under
basement. Yeah.
glass, the basement. So it's all like covered like under glass. So you can see like all the like bricks, like brickwork. So
Hmm.
yes, they display it. They don't hide it. Like okay, we found it. Yes, we have
Uh,
found the first the first palace, and it's like 7 up to 7 meters. I think maybe even more, like
let
up
me
to
show
maybe
you. Let me
6
show you the type of things that is also found elsewhere. This is in Germany. This is, I believe, in St. Petersburg also. So
Mhm.
all this brick masonry with this, the stuff that we've seen in the church, and probably places everywhere in St. Petersburg, you can find this. Once you dig somewhere, you
The
can find
arch.
this. Arches, yeah, brick arches, yeah. Let's
Hmm.
see.
I think the brick was the main like construction material at that time. So
Yeah, that's explained with the brick factories. Otherwise, that is impossible
hmm
because the volume of the brick production is supposed to be huge.
hmm hmm So already in some like small area, you see in this map, we have already two brick factories. So the city should be somehow, there should be some like provision. It should be provided somehow the construction material for, for building such a huge, such a great, architectural, points, such great buildings. You have to take obviously the stone, the marble, and like the granite. They were all taken from Karelia. Now we have the Ruskiala Park there. Like it was like marble deposits, the main like deposits of marble in the whole, and it was the main basically source for building the city. But you cannot do the also the main part of building. You cannot do everything with like you have to like everything is built obviously with brick.
Yeah, the main construction of carcass built with bricks, and just the facades and the facades, the columns sometimes built with these rare materials like granite and the stuff that you've been saying that were mined in
And
Karelia.
the
Yeah,
the facing, they call it the
facing.
facing,
Yeah,
the
the facing.
column.
Yeah, exactly. And to finish your tour, you are bringing people back into this closer to the place that we started, to the Kasansky Cathedral. You're bringing people across the Nevsky to the German cathedral that's supposed to be established in
Yes.
after the
Yeah.
founding of the city, right?
Yes, the first I showed you where the first church was. So it was obviously next to Winter Palace, and then obviously when they were rebuilding the new Winter Palace, I think they used part of this church also, which is now the so-called house church of the Winter Palace. So it still exists, but it is
Yeah,
now built in the main building of the Hermitage Museum.
yeah,
So that's why they and Peter gave, obviously the German community was huge at that time, and they needed like the place of worship.
yeah.
So he gave them this new piece of land. It's still called the German
Neighborhood.
region,
Let's call it.
neighborhood. Yeah,
Yeah.
neighborhood. Немецкая Слобода.
He granted the land for the Germans because they were in large numbers, and he also integrated possibly the foundation or maybe the whole church of Germans that they had in that area during the near the Winter Palace. Inside of that reconstruction that Italian architectures were doing at the fourth or fifth stage of reconstruction of the Winter Palace, right?
Exactly.
And
The
Germans
fifth.
were granted some land for this in exchange for that, right? So, and we went to that new German church, new supposed to be new German church, German cathedral, that ended up to be questionable, right?
So they still exist there. There also the underground, and where you can see the old also brick arches. You
Yeah,
remember?
basically, I'd be better for me to tell this story, and you just specify if I forgot something. So
Yeah. Okay.
me and Julia went to that church, and there was a guy. His name was Heinrich, I think, right?
Gerhard.
Gerhard, yeah, Gerhard. He is a keeper or bell keeper or something. So he's a guy who showed us the place, and he told us this story. I think Julia also knew that story along with that. So The story is very simple. Soviets created quite a hell for churches during the Soviet time, so they reconstructed churches and created swimming pools. And one of the swimming pools was in Moscow, at the Church of the Savior, Christ the Savior. Right now is rebuilt. Also, the church is rebuilt, but there was a huge swimming pool there. And the same thing was with that church in St. Petersburg, because Soviets created a swimming pool, and I think it was used for like 50 years, right? Or maybe even more.
Yes, something like that. I think in 60s, maybe 40 years or something.
Yeah, so that old church that was reconstructed, and there's a swimming pool right now.
Turned to the swimming pool.
Yeah, so they didn't totally erase that evidence. So those guys who were reconstructed it in the 90s, they left part of the swimming pool, the lower part, the underground part. They left it alone. They didn't dismantle it. So they kept it, and we were there and we saw what's below that big ball of the swimming pool, the big ball, yeah, where people can dive, and what's underneath it, because it has some evidence of ancient foundations. And you believe those ancient foundations are from that also pre-Peter times, that the times that
I'm absolutely sure. I'm absolutely sure. Absolutely. I have, you can find like little details like this. You remember, the brick from those times, it looks a little bit different than basically from the 19th century. And I have seen already lots of like, abandoned sort of places, and they used, together with brick, they used I don't know how in English it's called, the
so type of material, rock material,
type of известняк. How you call it?
that's seashell rock, I would say. It's called
Yes,
seashell
maybe
rock.
something like that. And you can see that also the combination of this brick and of this stone has always signify that the building was built before the Peter, because in that embankment in the summer garden you also have a little bit of stone, of seashell, and a
The
little
same
bit
size.
of and the
Yeah.
same, and this combination makes me, and again you go down like 4 meters or 5 meters maybe.
Yeah, so the depth is the
Something like that.
same,
It's the
the
same.
type of material is the
It's
same,
the same.
and the type of old brick is pretty much the same with that pavement that we saw on the
Yeah.
embankment. Yeah.
And what is the type of brickwork? So it
Yeah.
has
Yeah,
the
brickwork.
special it has the special like the special style. I don't know how to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. In 19th century, Russian Empire had this certification of foundations and construction book, which were assigning constructors to follow the same patterns. So I believe Germany or whoever, Sweden, you name it, also had this special style, book, or law. I don't know how you call it. So snips. Yeah, right now we have a snip. That's the only explanation we have, because these buildings are still there and they're perfectly in perfect condition sometimes. I mean, how come that can happen without this special knowledge that people
Yes.
had back in the days?
Yeah, exactly. Like you have like the like Middle Ages churches, like Middle Ages in the whole Europe. You still have it. You still have the 14th century. You still have this 15th, 16th century. It's still there, And maybe this the church and the Winter Palace, maybe they even older than 17th century. I think they're much older. They can be up to like, you go maybe three, four, not 300, like 400 or 500. Why not? Why not? So you still have the ancient like ruins
Or
of like
maybe, yeah, or maybe they are the remnants of that city that was prior to these nine, right? Prior.
exactly.
Who actually
This is what I'm
knows?
talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Maybe the city was there like long time ago, like at least maybe 400, 500.
Yeah, at least that map that you've been shown, the last one, the map that shows that Vasilievsky Island is fully, inhabited and constructed. I've been staying there during this week, and I've been, seeing that those huge amounts of lines. This is construction, and this is all dense, very dense construction
Mm-hmm.
rate, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, because those buildings are huge, like 4 or 5 storage buildings with the 3 to 4, 5 meters ceilings
5 meters
height.
ceilings.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
huge. I mean, those buildings. How did they actually hit those buildings? How did? There's so many questions, and I think
Mm-hmm.
we can leave those questions for the future talks with you, because we should wrap this thing up. This is totally crazy discussion today. I wanted to thank you for this, for your job that you do, for your dedication to this topic. I mean, this is ridiculous that
It's a
officials don't
pleasure.
recognize it.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Philip.
Yeah, I think we should cooperate more, and maybe next time you
Yes,
come, yeah,
yes,
we
yes.
should
Maybe we
maybe
have
add some
we can
points
talk.
to, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
add some points to your trail, for your future customers and clients to be more happy with more information. Maybe that would be nice to, if people come from
Yeah,
my
lovely.
subscribers. I mean, I
I'm
would like to attach your contacts also here, so they can
wonderful.
hire you as a guide for St. Petersburg excursions, including Peterhof and other huge places that you also familiar with.
All right, so I say bye.
Yeah, thanks a lot.